Well, Razorback fans, Razorback Baseball is officially here, and they are 2-1 to start the season. So what do we know about the Razorback Baseball team? Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of the John Nabors Show, which you can catch every weekday afternoon from 4 to 6 on Natty State Sports and nattystatesports.com. These days, every new potential hire can feel like high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend here in the great state of Arkansas and across the country, as you kind of had a little bit of an overlap of Razorback baseball and basketball, which we'll talk a little bit about basketball because there's some things to talk about there and discuss. But Razorback baseball opens up against James Madison, and it's a 4-game series, and we know that if you're listening to the podcast today, here on a Monday, they have one more game to play here at Monday at noon, actually. So going to be an early one for the Razorbacks. And Arkansas won the first 2 games, but lost this third game on Sunday, which is pretty frustrating. And I know Dave Van Horn was frustrated, but there was a few things to take away from these games. And we'll just kind of go through them by one, and do some takeaways for them. But essentially where it is at for game 1, Arkansas was able to get the victory 6-4 over James Madison. Now, the real story of this was Hagen Smith. Hagen Smith on Friday, and we know how he is a preseason All-American. We know that he is a guy who has about as much experience as you could ever have in a third-year pitcher for the Razorbacks. A lot of expectation. Was the ace basically as soon as the season ended last year. Everyone knew he was going to be the ace, and so people were excited to see what he was going to be capable of in Game 1 against James Madison. And needless to say, it did not go well for Hagen Smith. He only pitched 1 inning and had 42 pitches. He had 1 hit, 3 runs, 3 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts, and he hit 2 batters. Or he walked 2 batters, I should say. But yeah, it did not go well. There's a 3-run bomb there by Hagen Smith, and it really just ended his day early. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to freak out and say, oh, my gosh, this is terrible. He can't play. He's not got it. I mean, first games of the season, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm really not. But first game of the season, you got the type of weather that those first 2 games especially were in are horrendous. I mean, it's freezing cold. Nobody wants to be out there playing in that. I just think that it got to him a little bit, especially there in the early going. So just not what you wanted to see out of Hagen. And he'll have an opportunity to go to Arlington this weekend and to be able to really showcase his ability, and being on a grand stage like that down there in Arlington. But overall, yeah, I was disappointed. I was disappointed like everybody. But Arkansas still got the victory because Will McIntyre, Big Mac, comes in and pitches a little over 5 innings, only gives up 3 hits, 1 run, and is able to strike out 6 batters on 71 pitches. And Gage Wood closes out the whole thing with 36 pitches, as well as 1 hit only given up. But Arkansas got it done, and one of the big reasons why is Kendall Diggs goes 2 for 4. You got Hudson White going 1 for 3, which was nice to see him. He's really good. I really like Hudson White, especially in that leadoff spot. He's been really impressive. And how about Jared Sprague-Lott? Guy that hits the first home run of the season like we all predicted, I'm sure. But in that game, he had 2 hits in his 2 at-bats, and Arkansas got the victory. So it was nice to see that. And, again, the weather was awful, but got it done. Now, Game 2, Arkansas really put it to James Madison. They won 15-5 in this one, and in fact, run-ruled James Madison in this one. And it was really a great performance by a few people involved. Like Brady Tiger, he went 5 innings in this one, only gave up 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, and had 4 strikeouts. I will say he hit so many batters, it felt like. He had the same guy in that dome twice. So had a little bit of control problems there at times. But overall, a really good outing from Brady. Then Parker Coyle comes in, gives he comes in and had 4 hits and 4 runs and just 24 pitches. Wasn't exactly the most ideal situation for him. And then Cody Frank comes in the final 2+ minute innings and takes care of business in 33 pitches and is able to get out of there, and Arkansas takes care of it. Now, again, it was more about the offense in this one because, once again, Hudson White, who leads it off, goes 2 for 4 and also has 2 runs to add into the mix. You got Ben McLaughlin, who goes 2 for 4. Peyton Holt goes 2 for 5. Ty Wilmsmeyer, how about that? 3 for 5 in this one, as he looked really good and really comfortable in that role. And of course, got to give a shout out to Aloy. He's not done very well to start, and I think a lot of it has to do with the expectation and the pressure that's on us. This happens to kids, and especially in baseball, and especially at this time frame, it happens to where if you got a lot of people talking about you and referring to you and bringing you up and all of that, you're going to start to kind of feel it a little bit. And I think Aloy, being known for his power and his ability, I could see it totally being something like a Caleb Cali last year. For those who don't remember, Caleb Cali, who ended up being one of, if not the best hitter that Arkansas had, especially late in the year, he was getting hyped up. I remember talking to baseball players, and they're like, dude, this guy is next level good. He's hitting everything. He's the best contact hitter we've ever seen. And I think he started the year like 1 for 30. Like, just not good at all. And it eventually got to the point to where he started settling in. He started finding ways to take the pressure off of himself and be patient at the plate, and ended up being huge for Arkansas down the stretch. It's just 3 games is all we've seen, so I'm not trying to make it that crazy of a comparison, but I could absolutely see it where Aloy needs just to settle in a little bit. We know what he's capable of. The coaches know what he's capable of. I mean, we've seen what he's capable of. He's just got to settle himself in. But he at least did get the walk-off in this one, and that was his only hit of the game. He goes 1 for 5 because in the first game he went 0 for 3. So 0 for 3, 1 and 5, and then unfortunately for the Razorbacks, they did lose Game 3 by a final score of 7-3, and it was not a very pretty 7th inning. That's really the inning that got to him. But Aloy in that game also went 2 of 5, but still trying to build up that batting average and get to a point to where he's a lot more comfortable. But that is just not Arkansas's day. Mason Molina was the starter. People were really excited about him, and he looked really good in the beginning part of it. Had some really good stuff, but eventually ended up kind of getting battled up a little bit or hit up a little bit. Does give up 3 hits and 2 runs. Stone Hewlett comes in. He doesn't really do much in there, but right after that, Gabe Gackle, who's a true freshman, was really interested to see what he could do. 2 innings in this one, he gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, and all 3 of them were earned runs. So that was really a tough showing for him when he came in the 7th inning. Jake Faraday comes in, does give up a run in 1 inning. Tate McGuire comes in for just a little bit, and then Kristen Fouch ends it for Arkansas. But the offense was really the problem in this one. Arkansas was able to get 10 hits. But the problem is, and this is what can be worrisome and has been worrisome for times at Arkansas, is there were times where they had bases loaded. I think there were at least three occasions I remember in this game. Arkansas had bases loaded, and I'm pretty sure all of them were with 2 outs. But Arkansas was unable to capitalize on any of those deals. And that's not what you want to see. That's not what you want to have done. Because anytime that you can, like, you had nine guys left on base in this one. 9 guys left on base. And I'm pretty sure like all of them were in bases loaded situations. That's what it felt like. And so that's just things you got to take advantage of. And Arkansas was unable to do it in this game. It's not the end of the world. So anybody that's freaking out and talking about this, that, and the other, about this team sucks, everything's bad, relax. You know, people forget that Arkansas, the year in 2018 where they should have won the College World Series title, they lost a game in their opening series, I believe, against Kent State. So things happen. And if Arkansas bounces back here on this Monday and takes care of business and wins the series, I think most people will feel pretty good about it. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle it with the pitching side, because you know that they got a shortened week traveling, especially down to Arlington. So they may throw a lot of randomness out there. But I think it was the Vygotsky guy for James Madison. He's their closer, and he was out there for a long time. A long time. So I think James Madison, at least for my guessing, was really going all in on this game just to get this victory. And I don't know who they're going to pitch tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow or today, I guess, when you're listening to this podcast. But either way, it should be one Arkansas really bounces back and gets after it. So just a few observations. Nothing too crazy as far as things that are bad, but I really like Hudson White in that leadoff spot. I think that's great. Diggs did some really good things too at times. Again, Loy, I know he had his struggles, but they still got some dudes that you know what they're capable of. I think the pitching was overall decent. Still need to see some more out of these guys, but that's what they're trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out rotations. They're trying to figure out how they handle these things, and so far I'm for it, and I'm fine with it. And again, hopefully they can take care of business and win the series instead of splitting the series against James Madison here in the early going. We'll talk a little basketball and Arkansas's performance there against Mississippi State here in just a second. But, folks, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it at the place to hire. It gives you access to professionals that you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get qualified within the first 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and may not be able to have the time or the resources to hire, but they're constantly finding ways to make the process easier, and they even launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process easier and even quicker. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Razorback Basketball did have a game, and no, they didn't win. I wish that it was not the case that Arkansas has a losing record overall at 12-13 right now, but it is what it is. Going into the game, though, Mississippi State is a tough place to play. Arkansas has not won there much at all. And I remember when we were here at Natty State Sports, we're doing a live stream for the game, and I was watching it and kind of wondering how it was going to go. Well, first off, before the season even started, when I still believed that this team was elite, team was going to be great, which I think we were all wrong about, even during that time, I looked at this Mississippi State game, and I'm like, Arkansas is going to lose that. They always do. It's a really weird place for Arkansas. They haven't had success there. And also going up against Chris Jans' team, I mean, it's just a weird matchup. So I never even felt good about that game going into it, really. Going into the season, I should say. And then, of course, right now, going into it, I wasn't feeling good. I think Mississippi State ended up being a 9.5-point favorite in this game, which was wild. And then we get the news that before the game starts that Jalen Graham's not going to play. He's dealing with an injury that he suffered in the previous game. So no Trevin Brazile, no Jalen Graham, and essentially no power forward. So, wow. It was like, okay, well, this is going to get nasty. This could get ugly quick. But I will give credit where credit is due. Arkansas actually played about as well as I've seen them play in the SEC so far this year. It doesn't matter that they lost. I get it. I'm not looking to give you moral victories. I don't want to give you moral victories. Like, that's not what I want to do. I'm just telling you like it is. They played about as well as you could have asked for this particular situation without Jalen Graham, without Trevin Brazile, without no power forward. They played as well of a team as you can see. I think Caleb Battle I don't even think it is. Caleb Battle had his best game as a Razorback in the SEC. He had 18 points in this game. Goes 7 of 13, and he didn't hit a 3. But goes 7 of 13, gets 2 rebounds, 2 assists, no turnovers, but unfortunately did foul out. And then how about Mekhi Mitchell, y'all? Mekhi Mitchell I think that he needs to be respected and appreciated. I really do, for what he's been able to do here in the past few weeks. I know it hasn't been enough, but the dude has 21 points in this game and 9 rebounds. 21 points in 22 minutes with 9 rebounds. Had 1 assist, 1 turnover, 2 steals, and 2 block shots. Dude was an animal. Makhi Mitchell was an absolute animal. 8 of 12 from the field and 5 of 5 from the free throw line. So that was big for Arkansas. So both Caleb Battle and Makhi Mitchell were the players of the game in this one. I don't even think there was a question about it. Now, after that, though, people started really hammering L. Ellis. I don't know why. At least on our live stream. People were so mad at L. Ellis, and I have no idea why. L. Ellis, you want to know what L. Ellis did? He played 34 and a half minutes, had 8 points, goes 3 of 6 from the field, had 4 assists and only 1 turnover and a rebound. He's +2. I mean, is that the best game I've ever seen him play? No. But to say for people to be ripping him as if he's bad, yeah, I think it's just living in the moment because he missed that free throw at the end of the game, which even if he made both the free throws, Arkansas was still going to be down. So I didn't understand that at all. I did not understand where all that fury came from for L. Ellis. I thought L. Ellis played really well, or at least well. Now, there were other factors that went into this. Tremont Mark was really a no-show offensively. 2 of 7 from the field, only 6 points, and fouled out pretty early in the game, or at least in the second half. Yeah, had 6 points and 3 rebounds. It was not a great game, even though he had the highest plus-minus for Arkansas at +7. But Devo Davis, man, he had 8 points, no rebounds, no assists, no steals in 25 minutes. Did go 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point land. But the thing about Devo, and this is something you can always just look back and look at it in hindsight, but the thing about Devo is he, at the end of the game, when Arkansas had this possession, you could not have asked for a more wide-open three-point attempt than what Devo Davis had. And it was actually assisted, or was going to be assisted by L. Ellis. He was wide open and just didn't take the shot. The guy was 10 feet in front of him, just didn't take the shot. I was disappointed in that. I'm not saying that's why Arkansas lost the game, because who's to say he would have even made it? But in that situation, when you're a guard, you're a senior guard, and also Arkansas was 3 of 17 from three-point land, and Devo had 2 of those threes. You got to take that 3, man. That is a great, high-quality shot you got to take, and he didn't. Arkansas didn't really get anything from it. So again, it's not. Arkansas had 17% from the field, or from three-point land, 45% from the field, 14 of 19 from the free throw line. Battle missed 2, L. Ellis missed 2, but both those were on purpose. So better energy, more effort, more fun. At least I enjoyed watching a game for a second instead of just wanting to put bleach in my eyes. But wasn't enough. I'm glad that they're still fighting. I'm glad that they're still fighting. I'm glad they're still looking at it as if they care about it. That's what I like to see, and that's what I want to see more of. Folks, get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 winning bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So this is just a little rant that I wanted to go on because I know Muss was referring to it a little bit. And it didn't impact the game, so I'm not trying to act like this was something that impacted the Razorbacks game against Mississippi State. But this is a bigger problem, I think, in sports. There are so many rules that are rules for no reason, and they're rules just for the sake of being rules. For instance, in men's college basketball, I have no idea why they have halves instead of quarters. Women's basketball in college have quarters. NBA has quarters. High school has quarters. G League has quarters. European leagues have quarters. Every single basketball league and level use quarters except for college basketball. Why? Why? No clue. But they do. And it's kind of the same thing with advancing the basketball on timeouts. Women's college basketball does that now. The NBA doesn't. So why doesn't men's college basketball do that? Why should you should be able to advance the ball in timeouts? Again, just my opinion. But why would you not do that? If the women's game is doing it, why would you as the men's game not do that? And what drives me up a wall, and again, this is not just an indictment on college basketball from the men's side. This is an indictment on all sports that ever approach it this way. If you have, because you can use for the same thing with overtime rules in the NFL. I think the NFL overtime rules are the stupidest thing and the most complicated thing that doesn't need to be complicated at all. At all. It's actually the one thing that college has over the NFL rule-wise. To me, that's so much better. But it's like the NFL has to refuse to adapt to the college game because heaven forbid they take something from the college game. I mean, that's the only reasonable excuse I could come up with. And it goes the same thing with men's college basketball. It's like, you just don't want to do it. Why? Well, we like to be our own. Well, why? Well, it's always been that way. Okay, great. Change it. There's zero excuse for men's basketball to be halves and not quarters. I don't get it. I don't get why they don't advance the ball on timeouts. Like this, none of that makes sense. And it's just been something that's been frustrating to me for a long time. And there's other rules I'm sure that are out there that you could probably bring up or that we could discuss and dive into. But my whole thing is that if you are good with the way the game is, fine. But if you're legitimate, even if you have a legitimate reason as to why you don't want to do it a certain way, that's fine. But you just doing these rules for the sake of doing these rules and having no idea about what could be the benefits, or just at least not caring about the benefits and not caring about the overall look of it all, it just doesn't make sense to me. I have no idea why. So, stupid rules don't need to be stupid rules just for the sake of being stupid. That's my whole point. And that's all I got to say about that. Appreciate everybody listening in to Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at The John Nabors Show with any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.